On April the 14th, I had the privilege, as an accredited international observer, of witnessing the presidential election in Venezuela. I witnessed problems at the polls, military presence with guns, some electronic machines not working properly. Others witnessed violence, the burning of ballots, and individuals with several identity cards voting early and often. I also saw the people of Venezuela streaming to the polls to exercise their democratic right. They were full of hope, believing that this election signaled a new era for Venezuela. Even after the polls had closed, the preliminary results were announced, there was still the belief that democracy would prevail. The opposition called for a recount, and the president-elect said in his victory speech that he would not object to a recount. When asked, one of the Elections Commission members indicated that the commission would undertake a recount. Unfortunately, by Monday, the day after the election, the president-elect had changed his mind. The Election Commission had declared him a winner, and his inauguration took place last Friday. Opposition parties across Venezuela rallied to protest the canceling of the recount, and the police moved in, leaving 7 dead, 60 injured, and 170 arrested. I am pleased to learn that the National Elections Commission has agreed to an audit of the 46% of the ballot boxes that were not subject to a recount on election day. There were retaliations against the people who voted for Capriles. I've received reports of mass layoffs of civil servants who supported Capriles. People have been indiscriminately arrested for having supported Capriles. I will be asking the Speaker of the House of Commons to grant an emergency debate later today so that members of Parliament can discuss and debate what measures should be taken to help the people of Venezuela ensure that their democratic rights are protected. I have with me members of the Venezuelan diaspora in Canada, and I will be turning it over to them. But however, we must act, and we must act now, or else democracy in Venezuela will be going out the window. Capriles lost by less than 1%. A recount should be demanded, and we, the international community, should be vigilant in order to ask for that and support the people of Venezuela find democracy.
Thank you, Mr. Karygiannis. My name is Isaac Nahon. I'm a representative of the Unidad coalition, the opposition of Venezuela here in Canada. As Mr. Karygiannis said, the presidential election on April 14 in Venezuela produced a very narrow result and very questionable result, and that's why the opposition asked for a full audit of the result because of many documented irregularities and evidence of a possible fraud. En fait, notre candidat Enrique Capriles a demandé au Conseil national électoral de faire un audit total des résultats à cause de 3000 irrégularités qui ont été identifiées par l'opposition. For example, people voting multiple times, voters with several IDs with different identities, voter escorted or so-called assisted voting, inconsistencies in the results in various polling stations where the government candidate outperformed this time Hugo Chavez by more than 500%. Opposition witnesses were intimidated by paramilitary groups. Military and electoral officials acted as political actors, and several days prior and during the election, land borders were closed, denying with that the right to vote to hundreds of thousands of voters who travel by land. Les droits démocratiques des Vénézuéliens ont été violés, ont été diminués par un régime qui contrôle tout le pouvoir de l'État, le Conseil électoral, le Tribunal suprême de justice et l'Assemblée nationale. Le régime abuse de son pouvoir et de ses ressources pour intimider les citoyens vénézuéliens. Il a menacé les employés publics et il a une influence énorme d'intimidation sur le public en général à travers un appareil de propagande. The results of the election on April 14 are the reflection of a divided society that urgently needs dialogue and reconciliation to overcome the social and economic problems that Venezuelans are facing. The fact, if we believe to the result of the National Electoral Council, the fact that almost 7.5 million voters decided to support the opposition candidate Enrique Capriles, despite all the pressures and intimidation, shows the highly democratic spirit of the Venezuelan people. Presque 800 000 Vénézuéliens qui avaient voté pour Chavez dans l'élection antérieure ont voté cette fois pour Capriles. L'opposition est allée de 45% de voix à plus de 50%. The Venezuelan regime has limited the access of the international and non-governmental organizations to the country, obstructing their ability to record and denounce the violation of human rights. Venezuelans need the solidarity of Canada and all democratic countries in this critical moment of political crisis. And I would like to thank the Honorable Jim Karygiannis for his support for the fight of Venezuelan democracy. Thank you.
One of our participants has a personal story to say about his family and how his niece has been subjected to difficulties after the election. We have to monitor what's happening in Venezuela very close because there is retaliations against the people that voted for Capriles, there's intimidation, and there is the paramilitary that is going around on motorcycles in order to move people and shake things up. I'm going to turn it over to the individual if he wants to say to us what's happening, and thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we keep receiving news from friends and relatives all over Venezuela. This account comes very fresh from the family, our family in the city of Merida. It's a niece who worked as a teacher in a public high school, and she phoned us crying, saying that she was discovered by the people of the school voting for Capriles, and she was kind of denounced in the main patio and being shouted that she was a fascist just because she voted for Capriles. That's the main story.
Thank you. After question period today, I'll be asking for an emergency debate, and this conversation has to keep on going because the people of Venezuela are looking into the international community for assistance in order for us to make sure that democracy, true democracy, returns to Venezuela. Thank you all.